Hi, good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Hello.
Very good evening, sir.
Good evening. Okay. Okay. So last class day, I'm going to essay ko adha chhadi today. So we'll complete that essay first. Then we will be moving on to the next essay. Okay. Uh, let me share the screen. Then we would be beginning with what I'm supposed to discuss today. Okay. Okay. So I hope the screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So in the last class, we discussed the essay of truth by Francis Bacon. So we will have a quick recap of whatever we discussed in the last class, then we would be moving on. So as I told you in the last class that it is a philosophical essay and it differentiates between truth and lie. Bacon is trying to tell us about the difference between truth and lie, the benefit of telling lies, sorry, the benefit of telling truths and the consequences of telling lies. Okay. Then we also discussed the tendency that why do people tell lies. We discussed that, and we had a lot of answers that some people tell lies to for the sake of entertainment, to enjoy, to hide their faults, and many more things that we discussed. Okay. Then we also had a discussion on it that what could be the advantages and the disadvantages of telling truth and lie. Also how Francis Bacon is favoring telling truth. Okay. So these are the things in the introductions that we discussed. And moving on to the essay, we in the very beginning we discussed that in the very beginning of the essay, the first with the very first line, uh, with the very first line, Bacon is making an allusion मतलब कौन कि इसे Bible रो गोटे line के नहीं क्या option थी, what is truth. And we also discussed about Pilate, who actually sentenced Lord Jesus Christ to crucifixions, and how he behaved when he was giving the verdict. ଯେତେବେଳେ मतलब ମାନେ ମାନେ ସଜା ଶୁଣିବାକୁ ଯାଉଥିଲେ at that time he was the governor. Okay. ମାନେ ଦୋଷୀ ମାନେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରୁଫ କରିକି ଯେତେବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ସଜା ଦେ ମାନେ ଦୋଷ ତାଙ୍କର ପ୍ରୁଫ ହେଲା ପରେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସଜା ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ଆଗକୁ ଆସୁଛନ୍ତି ସେତେବେଳେ how Pilate is behaving at that particular time. I also told you that Pilate was not in favor of uh, giving the punishment of crucifixion to Lord Jesus Christ. He was not at all in favor, but he did not want to go against the Jewish culture at that time. He did not want to go against the leaders, those who were against Lord Jesus Christ at that time. So he had to do whatever he did. Okay. And we also had the discussion on that how giddiness means what, the fluctuation of choices. Okay, ମାନେ ଆଜି ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଆମକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହଉଛି, next କିଛି ସମୟ ପରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଆମକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହେଇଯିବ. So we do not have anything favorite, all of you. If I will ask you a question that what is your favorite color, you may say that this thing, take for an example white. I would say that white is my favorite color, but when white is my favorite color at a particular thing or on a particular thing. Okay, how? Suppose I like white dress, white shirt and all, but when it comes to anything else, okay, when it comes to anything else, let's take for an example, when it comes to vehicles, I don't like white vehicle. So our choices are fluctuating everything. We are not fixed to anything. Okay, we are not fixed to anything. We have a lot of fluctuations in our thoughts. Okay, so that's what Bacon is trying to say here, and he's also telling that it is a common trait in human being. It is not like in any of a particular section of human beings only. No, it is common in every human being that our thoughts are fluctuating all the time. Okay. And the name of the pilot, the full name was Pontius Pilate, was the Roman governor of Judea. And Bacon then told that finding the truth is a very mammoth task. It is a very difficult task. Okay, he said that finding the truth is a very difficult task. Difficult task, such as he by this, I mean, we can take the examples. These examples are not there in the essay, but ଆମେ ନିଜକୁ ବୁଝେଇବା ପାଇଁ we can take the examples such as ସ୍ୱାମୀ ବିବେକାନନ୍ଦ, then Lord Buddha. ଓକେ, ଯୋଉମାନେ କି ମାନେ ସତର ଖୋଜରେ ମାନେ ନିଜର ଜୀବନକୁ ଉତ୍ସର୍ଗ କରିଦେଉଛନ୍ତି. So it is definitely finding the truth is a very difficult task, but ଲୋକମାନେ ଯୋଉମାନେ ମିଛ କହୁଛନ୍ତି, those who are telling lies, is this the only reason that Bacon is telling? Is this the only reason that finding the truth or telling the truth is a difficult task? That's why they tell lies? এবং ସେ ନିଜେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି no, it is not like that. Okay, ଖାଲି ସତଟା ବହୁତ କଷ୍ଟକର ବୋଲି ସେମାନେ ମିଛ କହୁଛନ୍ତି, it's not like that. Okay, some people, not some people, many people tell lies because they have an innate tendency and corrupt love for the lie itself. Okay, every one of us love lies, every one of us. There is no exception to it. Okay. Then we also discussed that how different people tell lies. Like poets, they tell lies for the sake of uh, pleasure, to enjoy himself. Okay, for its own, his or her own enjoyment, also for the reader's entertainment. That's what poets tell lies for. Then merchant, we had a very nice discussion on this topic, that merchant tell lies for their advantages. They are going to earn money by telling lies through advertisements, through, like, if you people might have met the sales agents. Okay, so they would be telling the empty sir, for an example, I can say LIC agents. If they are about to sell any of their LIC policy to you, they would be telling a lot of advantages of it, जोटा कि तमे चाहू नथिले मते you will take it. Okay, so that's how the merchants do it. Okay, किंतु से सब जिंस पई लोक माने मिछ कहंती नाही. जने कॉमन लोक काहे कि मिछ कहे, who is not a poet, not a merchant. Okay, फिर भी जने यदि मिछ कहूची, why? For the lie sake. Okay, one is telling lie for the lie itself. Okay, then he is telling that but I cannot tell this man truth. This same truth is a naked and open delight, that doth not, and I had also told you that this line is very important, because in this particular line he is comparing truth with daylight and night with candlelight. Okay, and he is extending this particular line, and he is giving the examples such as he is comparing truth with the pearl, and lie with diamond or carbuncle. Okay, and I also told you that pearl is just something that looks very beautiful in the morning time, but its beauty is taken away by night, by darkness. Okay, pearl doesn't look beautiful in the darkness. Okay, but when it comes to diamond, diamond reflects light. So in the night, artificial light, we can say, মানে ବହୁତ ସାରା decorate କରା ଯାଇଥିବ artificial lights द्वारा, and those lights, when it fall on the diamond or carbuncle, it would reflect, and it will make that particular piece of diamond or carbuncle more beautiful than it really is. Okay, ସେଇ ହିସାବରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ମିଛ ମଧ୍ୟ କାମ କରେ, ଯେତେବେଳେ when you will add, when you will go on to add more and more light to it, it will look more beautiful than the truth. Okay, then yes, we were supposed to discuss this today. I think we stopped here. uh, let me be clear if it is, our last discussion ended here, I think, with this slide. Hello, am I audible or not?
Okay.
So did we stop here or we moved on further? Did we discuss this line in the last class?
Yes, sir.
We had discussed this one.
No, sir.
Okay,
That
no.
was the last.
Okay, that was the last point that we discussed. So we will begin with this now. And he further, Bacon is telling that a mixture of a lie doth ever add pleasure. Okay, and this is very true. In the last class, we had a very nice discussion on this. Okay, that when you add whatever you are telling, whatever you are trying to say, if you are adding a kind of lie to it, a little pinch of lie to it, then it would be more pleasurable. Okay, it will be more pleasurable. For an example, you can take any of your example. Okay, like suppose you're going somewhere, and on the way you saw a tiger or a lion. Okay, when you will meet your friends, you will be telling them that I saw a tiger the size of an elephant. Okay, hathi size ro gote bago dekhili. Do we say like this or not? We very often say like this, that I saw a tiger the size of an elephant. It's a lie, but it will make your statement more pleasurable and more catchy for your audience to listen to you with more interest. Okay, they will pay more attention to you when you will be telling like this is a lie. There is no such tiger which is the size of an elephant. But when you're telling when you're giving this kind of statements, your friends are they're listening to you with more attention, giving more attention to your statements. Okay, that's a lie, but it is making it more interesting. Then he is then making a question. Okay, this question is for the general public, everyone, the all audience. Okay, what is the question? Doth any man doubt that if there were taken out of man's vain opinions, flattering hopes, false valuations, imaginations as one would, and the like, but it would leave the minds of a number of men poor shrunken things, full of melancholy and indisposition, and unpleasing to themselves. Okay, so that's what the question is. Bacon is asking a question. What is the question? Let's take for an example. Ki, all the vain opinions. Okay, ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ମଧ୍ୟ କିଛିଟା ଗୋଟେ discuss କରୁଛେ, a lot of vain and useless opinions people used to give, and people used to give. You will gather a collection of a lot of useless information, is lot of useless opinions जोटा कि तमर जरूरत नहीं. Okay, and not even related to the point, the topic that you are discussing. That kind of opinions we very often receive. Then flattering hopes, we have a lot of hopes of like flattering hopes, we can say, mane jota ki kebe real hobo hi nahi, which is unreal, but we have a lot of hopes like that. Then false valuations, we will be calculating something in our mind. Okay, false valuations that has no parallel in our real life. There is no relationship between that kinds of valuations and in your practical life, but still we do such things. Then imaginations. Okay, we have a lot of imaginations. Even some of you might be imagining that I wish I could fly in the sky. Okay, this kind of imaginations we have. Okay, so imagine karo ebe कि एई प्रकार सब जेते सब चिंताधारा थाए आम मुंडरे से सब को एबे बाहर कर दिया जिवो. Okay, all these things would be taken away from our mind. What are you left with ना? आम भितरे कोन रहि जिवो तापरे? Nothing. We would be poor shrunken things. Okay, because we are living in our fancy and imagination, and if all those things are taken away, then we are poor shrunken things, nothing else. We are full of melancholy and indisposition. Will be completely alone. Will fall alone and unpleasing to themselves. এবং ଆମକୁ ତାପରେ ଆମ ନିଜ ଜୀବନଟା unpleasing ଲାଗିବ, କଷ୍ଟଦାୟକ ଲାଗିବ. Okay, absence of happiness you will feel there. Okay, so this is a question and I want the response. Is there anyone those who doubt that this will not happen? Or do you all agree with this? कि हम जदि हमें fancy এবং imagination को हम mind रो जदि हटे दबा, then still we can be happy. Is there anyone those who disagree with Bacon? This is not my statement. Bacon is telling all these things. So is there anyone those who disagree with Bacon? Even if not, then you can give your valuable opinions, not vain opinions, of course, valuable opinions or any suggestions regarding this statement. Anybody, please do respond. Nobody? So everyone agrees that fancy and without fancy and imagination, we are nothing. Our life is nothing. Is there anyone those who believe that practicality of life, life should be very practical? We should do whatever we have to do and nothing else. There is no such entertainment and no space for entertainment in our life. We have come here with to do something for the society, and we have to do that. Is there anyone with this kind of thoughts? Okay, so nobody. So
So
everyone believe.
sometimes it's true.
Sometimes.
Sometimes it's true. It's true to believe to be practical things, but
Yes.
without imagination, also our life is just. Now you said that we feel melancholy and all.
Yes. So you agree with Bacon?
But all the times we cannot live in a fantasy land and imaginations all.
But most of the time we spend our time like that.
But nowadays we should be practical things. Believe in practical things more
Yes.
because situations are like that.
Yes, in the competitive world,
But
all of you have to be very
things,
practical.
without all these things, we cannot resist actually.
Yeah, that's true. But when it comes to practical life, ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବିଚାର କରୁଛେ କି ନାଇଁ
If
ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ
we'll come
practical.
out from the imagination and fantasy land, then we'll get the actually that I can say get the salvation of life.
This is very philosophical now. This is very philosophical. We have to talk to Lord Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, to get the clarification of your statement. So my question is it possible to ignore fancy and imagination from our life?
No,
Is it
sir.
possible? No, not at all possible.
Sir, sometimes it is possible
Yes.
because man has become materialistic
Uh,
due to scientific reasons.
yes, it is. Sometimes it is possible, but possible for 5 minutes only. Yes or no? After 5 minutes, again we will be fancying things. Again we will be imagining things. Yes or no? So it happens. Even I have felt this, and this is my own personal statement that even if one is thinking that one can be very practical in life. Okay, he or she can be practical in life, but for a very limited period of time. କାହିଁକି ନା ଆମେ ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଲମ୍ବା ସମୟ ପାଇଁ କି ଆମେ practical life କୁ follow କରିପାରିବା ନାହିଁ, because the society has been so that in order to socialize, if you are not socializing with anyone, ଯେମିତି କି recently I was reading a novel, Hard Times by Charles Dickens. ସେଇଥିରେ ଯୋଉ character ଅଛି Gradgrind, Gradgrind or something like that, I forgot the name. So if that kind of that kind of philosophy you have, then you can be very practical, but we cannot live that kind of life in our society. We have to socialize. That person had forgotten his mother. Okay, he doesn't care about the society. He is only thinking about his own children, and also he is teaching those children in such a way that they are not allowed to draw something. Okay, in that particular novel, they are not allowed to draw something. They are not allowed to listen to music. They are not allowed to enjoy the nature. So we cannot lead that kind of a life in our life. Okay, so that is not possible. We have to be very melancholy, and that person was very melancholic, alone. Okay, so we will remain alone then. If we are supposed to lead that kind of a life, nobody will accompany us in that situation. Okay, so that's what Francis Bacon is telling and asking the question to the audience, that do you doubt that if fancy and imagination will not be there, still your life would be happy? Okay, then is moving on and telling that one of the fathers in great severity called poesivinum demonum, because it filleth the imagination, and it is but with the shadow of a lie. Okay, so in the last class, someone of you told about that poets should be banished from the society. We were discussing this thing. Okay, that poets should be banished from the society. They're very dangerous for the society because they teach us about imagining things. They teach us the false things. They give us the tendency to fancy the things that is not real. That's why they should be banished from the society. That's what in the last class someone of you said. So here Bacon is also telling the same thing but in a different way. What is it telling? That one of the fathers here means someone of high position in the church. Okay, and some references, it is not altogether clear, but some references are here that that one of the fathers here could be, it is, I'm not sure, but it could be Saint Augustine, because Saint Augustine had given this statement that poesy vinum demonum. Okay, it means what? In English it would be poetry is the devil's wine or wine of devils. Okay, that's what the great father মানে ଏଥିରେ କ୍ଲିୟର ହେଇନି କି ଗ୍ରେଟ୍ ଫାଦର କୁ ମାନେ କାହାକୁ କୁହାଯାଇଛି, ବଟ୍ ଆମେ ଇମାଜିନ୍ କରିବା, to me it is, I think, Saint Augustine who had given this kind of statement once in his life, ଯେ ପୋଏଟ୍ରିଟା ହେଉଛି ଡେଭିଲଙ୍କର ମଦିରା, ଯୋଉଟା ଆମେ କହୁଛେ ଡେଭିଲ୍ସ ୱାଇନ୍, ଏବଂ that the way poetry fills the mind of human beings with imagination. Okay, but still it is a shadow of a lie. Okay, because that is imagination means what? Imagination is nothing but lie. There is nothing else. Imagination itself is lie. Okay, that's what Bacon is telling us. Then but it is not the lie that passeth through the mind, but a lie that sinketh in and settleth in it, that the heart, such as we spake before. Okay, so he is further telling that lie, it doesn't pass through your mind. Lie will not pass through your mind, and if it is passing through your mind, then you're still in a good order. Okay, जदि आमे मिछ को आम माइंड रे पसई की बाहर कर दउछे, then you are a happy man. Okay, you are still not a sinner, we can say. If you are just listening to the lies and if you are throwing it out of your mind, then you are still not a sinner. किंतु आमे सेतेले सिनर ही जाउछे एवं सेतेले हमको बेसी हर्ट होछि, माने बेसी पीड़ा हमको मिलुछि केतेले, when lie sinketh in and settled in our heart. Okay, आमे जेतेले पूरा एते माने आमे कथा कहिबा स्टार्ट करले आमे मिछ कहिबा. Okay, that would be a part of your life. You're sinked in and settled in, माने that is that's what it is. It lie, आमे किछि जण कहउछ कि माने all of you might have heard of this proverb or this statement. आम ओडिसा रे एटा बहुत प्रचलन. Okay, ओडिसा रे एटा बहुत कहा जाय कि तारो माने रक्त रे मिछ अछि. Okay, तारो रक्त रे मिछ मिसी कि रहछि. एई कथाटा आम ओडिसा रे बहुत थर सुनिया को पाउछि. आ खास करके हमर ओल्ड people are like grandfathers, grandmothers, or great grandparents. They would be telling this kind of statements. They would be giving this kind of statements. Se mane kohutbe ki tanka tar raktare mane micho misiki rahichi, this kind of things. And if you are going through that kind of a statement, like if you are starting to say and if you are telling lies, then it will definitely hurt you. Okay, and that's what we discussed earlier. That's what Bacon is telling. We discussed that things earlier. Okay, Bacon quotes Montaigne, who said that a liar is a man who is brave towards God but is coward towards man. Okay, so Montaigne को quote करूछन्ते तांका essay रे. Okay, he is taking a statement of Montaigne, and he is telling Montaigne कोन कहउतिले that a liar, okay, a liar is a man who is brave towards God. माने जे मिछ कहे से, like, okay, I want to ask a question now. Do you ever make promises and not actually promises? What I want to say is माने आमे जाहा को कहूचे कसम खाइबाटा, swear. Do you swear? Is there anyone those who do not swear at all? जे कि कसम आज जाए केबे भी खाई ना? I don't
No
think
sir,
anybody
we
is
swear.
there. We everyone of us swear, है ना? हे पर आज माने when we are grown up, it might have somehow uh, come to coming towards an end. কিন্তু আমি যেতেলে স্কুল টাইমে থিলে all of you can relate this, মানে কথা কথা কি আমি কইবা কোন বিদ্যারণ ମୁଁ ଏଇଟା କରିନି, है ना? We do such things. So what ଆମେ ଆଉ ଆମେ ସେତେବେଳେ ବେଶୀ ମାନେ କସମ ଖାଇବା କେତେବେଳେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ମିଛ କହୁଥିବେ, हाँ माने टिके बढ़ी चढ़ी के माने आमे तापर कसम खाइबा माने काହାର कसम खाइबे मते पचार तू जोटा कहबो सेटा करिवि, है ना? दिस काइंड ऑफ स्टेटमेंट्स. सो बाय दिस व्हाट एक्चुअली हैपेंस, अ लॉयर इज अ मैन हु इज ब्रेव टुवर्ड्स गॉड, है ना? भगवान के प्रति बहुत से माने साहसी हो जाए, किंतु मनुष्य मान आकु जतेले आसीबो से बहुत भीरु हो जिवो, माने कोन दैट पर्सन विल बी अफ्रेड of meeting people. That person will be afraid of facing other people because he has been habituated to tell lies, and by telling lies, that lie will provoke that particular person to tell more lies. And एमती गोटे समय आसीजिबा कि आमे because if you are telling the truth you don't have to remember things. এই কোটেশনটা তুমি মানে দেখিতেবা, all of you might be using social media and all of you might have might have come across this statement that if you are telling the truth you don't have to remember things, but if you are telling lies you have to mug off everything. କାହିଁକି ନା ଆମେ କାହାକୁ କ'ଣ କହୁଛେ, we are self forgot. ଯଦି ଆମେ ମିଛ କହୁଛେ ତ ଜଣକୁ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା କହିଥିବା, ଆଉ ଜଣକୁ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା କହିଥିବା. ଲେଟ୍ସ ଟେକ୍ ଫର ଏନ୍ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ, ସେଇ ଦି ଜଣ ଯାକ କୋଉଠି ମିଶି ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଆମର କଥା ଲାଗୁଛନ୍ତି, ଦେନ୍ ଦେयर ୱିଲ୍ ବି ଡିସ୍କସନ, ନା ସେ ତ ମତେ ଏମିତି କହିଥିଲା, ତମେ କହିବ ସେ ତ ମତେ ଏମିତି କହିଥିଲା. Okay, so that then he will be afraid of facing people because he has told different things to different people, and now he has to prove his own statements in a different way. So a person who tell lies is brave towards God. That's what Montaigne is telling. And এই জিনিসটা মনে রাখিদেবা, মানে কনফ্यूजन ক্রিয়েট हुए कि all of you might have read the text जो মানে পঢ়িथिबो এই লাইনটা কোন বেকনकर एसे रे अछि, तो क्वेश्चन पचरा जाइतबो who had given this statement, तो तुमको लागिबो कि ना ना बेकनकर
sir, is this a line antithesis?
Yeah, we can imagine that way. Okay, so there would be questions like who had given this statement, then and at that time you will be confused कि ना ना एटा तो मु बेकन कर एसे रे पढितली बेकन देइथिबे, but it is actually an allusion by Francis Bacon of Montaigne. Montaigne had given this particular statement. Okay, then towards the conclusion we will conclude it quick. There are a lot of things that he is telling. He is also before concluding the things he is telling about the creation of the world. I mean last class I don't know which topic that we were discussing, but in the last class we discussed about the creation of the world, that how the supreme God created the world and how many days it took him to create the world and what is the first thing that he created and all. We discussed all these things, and Bacon is telling towards the end of the essay, in his essay he is telling that when God created the world it took him 7 days to create, and on the 7th day he was planning to take rest. Okay, so on the very first day he created light. Okay, and towards the end, at last God created reason. Okay, ମାନେ ମନୁଷ୍ୟକୁ ଭାବିବାର ଶକ୍ତି, ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବାର ଶକ୍ତିଟା ସବୁଠାରୁ ଶେଷରେ ଦିଆଯାଇଥିଲା. ଯେମିତି କି all of you might have the idea of the story, the fall of Adam. Okay, the fall of Adam and Eve. Okay, fall of man, जोटा कि हमें कहूचे fall of man. So he's giving some examples from the Bible itself. Okay, and by telling such things Bacon is concluding, and Bacon concludes his essay with didacticism by giving a tinge of Christian morality. Okay, towards the end he is giving Christian morality. The essay is rich in manner and matter. This is a counsel, civil and moral, and should be read slowly to understand the lucid and condensed approach style of Bacon. In the very beginning, I had told you in the last class that this essay is somehow different from the other essays of Francis Bacon, because you will find a lot of allusions to it, and you will find a lot of philosophical ideas in it. So in order to understand this particular essay, you have to read it once. Khali mu kahidele, it is not possible for you people to understand. Of course, you will understand whatever I told you, but in order to get clear idea about whatever he is telling, এটা মাত্র 2 page র আছে গোটে essay, 2 pages only of 500 words only. Okay, so you can easily read. মানে কোথাও মানে suppose you are traveling by bus, and on the bus itself you can, with your mobile phone itself, you can read it. Okay, and uh, you can get the clear idea of what Bacon is trying to say. Okay, while Of Truth stands as a significant work in its own right, it is essential to compare it with other essays by Bacon to gain a comprehensive understanding of his ideas. Bacon's essays, collectively known as essays, cover a wide range of subjects, including morality, politics, and human nature. Okay, so far up to this day, we have discussed 2 essays of Francis Bacon. One is Of Studies, and this one that we are discussing, Of Truth. So ଆମେ ଯଦି ବେକନଙ୍କର essay କୁ ପଢିବା, and the topics are also like that, and the contents is also the contents are also such that if you're reading it, you will get a different perspective of your life itself. Okay, so you will find everything in his essays. Okay, you will find science. Okay, the tinge of science. Then here that things have been mentioned, that morality, politics, human nature, love, hate, revenge, everything that you will find in his essays. Okay, everything. In order to live a happy life, whatever is needed, you can find in the essays of Francis Bacon. Okay, in order to develop a good human nature, you can read Francis Bacon, and you can have a different perspective, different vision of human being then. Okay, in comparison to other essays such as Of Studies, Of Friendship, Of Truth places a particular emphasis on the moral and ethical dimensions of human behavior. It explores the consequences of dishonesty and transformative power of truth, offering a unique perspective on human condition. Okay, बाकी जते सब एसे अछि तांकर से सब को जदी हम एक particular essay सहित जदी हम कंपेयर करिबा, you will find a different vision of life itself. काइना एथरे हमको माने he is trying to teach us that what is the consequence of dishonesty by giving the example of fall of man. जेमति कि the God had warned Adam and Eve not to eat the fruit. Okay, not to eat the apple fruit.
John Milton, Paradise Lost, I think.
Paradise Lost, yes. Paradise Lost जोटा कि हमें आकु डिस्कस करिबा, but it is a story of the Bible. Okay, से Bible रो इस स्टोरी टा नउचंती काइना एटा लेखिला परे जाय Paradise Lost लेखाई छी, so we cannot say कि Paradise Lost to Bacon नेचंती ए statement को. Okay, so he has taken this statement. Of course, the same story is there in the Paradise Lost, but he has taken it is an allusion to the Bible. Okay, এবং Bible রে স্টোরিটা আছে যে the God had warned Adam and Eve not to eat the fruit of apple, but both of them they became dishonest, and they did not obey the orders of God, and they ate the forbidden fruit, for which they were debarred from the Eden. They were debarred from Eden. Okay, and for which they were sent to the eternal suffering of man. Okay, so dishonesty kono sabu consequence kono sabu mane what we use the consequence in Odia, I really don't know. So the consequences of dishonesty is very harsh, very cruel. Okay, and also the transformative power of truth. If you are telling truth always, if you're supporting truth, if you're always in the support of truth, then your life would be transformed. You will be having a different idea of life itself. You will be teaching others, and others will be learning from you yourself. Okay, Jamti Lord Buddha, he was a fighter earlier. He was a cruel king, but later when he went in search of truth, and when he finally met and got to know that about truth, till today everyone is following his footprints. Okay, so that's what it is. That's what Francis Bacon is telling. Okay, and it will give you a different perspective of human condition. Okay, furthermore, when compared to Bacon's scientific and philosophical works such as Novum Organum and The Advancement of Learning, Of Truth reveals his ability to apply his scientific reasoning to moral and social issues. It demonstrates his belief that truth and knowledge are interconnected, and the pursuit of truth extends beyond the confines of scientific realm. Okay, so Novum Organum, advancement of learning रे ये सब कौन से माने बहुत सारा philosophical statements देइछंती, scientific allusions माने देइछंती. Okay, किंतु in compared to those things, जदि हमें of truth को देखिबा, you will find the tinge of those works. Okay, like this work of truth is a short version of those works, we can say, जो तरीके से माने social issues को केमती handle करिवार अछि सेही सब जिंस हमें we can find in the essay of truth here, the scientific then social and also many other things that we can see in this particular essay, that whatever we discussed এবং এই essay particular essay রে কোন হইছি the content is common to all, মানে যে भी জনে যদি পড়ুছে সে নিজে মানে he or she can feel this, that yes that is true. Okay, Bacon has written this in before four centuries, but still 4 to 5 centuries, but still it is relatable. That's what we can conclude with. Okay, so I became very fast because we are supposed to discuss another essay and we have very short period of time. In the last class we had taken away some time of the next class that you are supposed to join. So let's move on and let's discuss another essay of death. Okay, so we'll be very fast in discussing these things. Say in the very beginning, what is it actually telling? Men fear death as children fear to go in the dark, and as that natural fear in children is increased with tales, so is other. Certainly, the contemplation of death as the wages of sin and passage to another world is holy and religious, but the fear of it as a tribute due unto nature is weak. Okay, so I would like to ask a question. What is your conception of death, the idea of death? What is your idea or your thinkings about the idea of death? Some of you, please do respond. What death according to you is? Is it just the end of a life or more than that? Anybody to respond?
Sir, it is more than that, and something some the higher version of a sleep.
Higher version of a
Sleep, sir, sleep.
Sleep. Okay, yes. Like in some of the poem, death's second self बोली के हमें कहूँ ना ये sleep को.
Sir.
Yes. So
It's an eternal sleep.
Eternal sleep. Yes, we can say it is eternal sleep. Okay, but how? What is the conception of death by Bacon? Let's have a look. Men fear death. Every one of us are afraid of death. Okay, nobody can say that no, I don't fear death. Okay, we can say, but when the death would be approaching to us, then we would be very afraid then. Okay, like all of you like suicide and all. Okay, like if someone is trying to commit suicide, suppose someone wants to cut himself in the track of railway track, then he or she can go and stand on the track, but when the train would approach, he may come out of the track, he may get down of the track out of fear. It happens. You might have watched in many of the movies also. Okay, so everyone is afraid of death as children fear to go in the dark. ଯେମିତି କି ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ ଛୁଆ ମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଅନ୍ଧାର ଜାଗାରେ ମାନେ if they would be sitting in a room, and if you switch off the lights of it, then they would start crying, they would start shouting. Okay, they fear the darkness. And why they fear darkness? And that is not natural actually. They and as that natural fear in children is increased with tales. Okay, the children do not have the natural fear of death, but it is increased with the tales and the things that we tell them. ना ଆମେ छोट छोट छुआनको we guide them कि ना ना अंधार रहिबुनी सेटे माने छुआ चोर थिबो किंबा बुढ़ा थिबो भूत बाहरिबो, we tell them, and through that only they learn and they start to fear the darkness. Okay, so he's comparing that the way children fear death, like that man also sorry, the way children fear the darkness, the same way man also fear the death. Dekho, one of the comparison that you can find in the very first line, the comparison between how men look at the death and children look at the darkness. Further, there will be one more comparison. Okay, so let's be very quick. And he's telling that certainly the contemplation of death as the wages of sin, the passage to another world, is holy and religious. Okay, जदि आमे डेथ को जदि आमे हमर हिसाब रे जदि डेथ को जदि देखिबा, तो जदि तमे डेथ को देखुचो एज द वेजेस ऑफ सिन, लाइक जहा सब पाप करिचो सेही पापर प्रायश्चित पई तुमको मरिया को पडुची, किंबा इट इज अ पैसेज टू अनदर वर्ल्ड. ओके, like death will lead you to the another world, like whatever you have the conception of that heaven and hell. Okay, eita jodi ame, if according to you, according to us, if the death means this, then it is very holy and religious. It is holy and religious. In all of the holy books and religious scriptures you can find such things ki jodi bhalo kaam karibo swarga ku jibo, kharab kaam kale narka ku jibo. In all of the religious scriptures you can find this. Okay, so that is, in that way death is very holy and religious, but fear of it as a tribute due unto nature is weak. Kintu ame jodi bhabuche no, if we are born we have to die, then that kind of a statement is very weak, and we every day we are afraid of death. Okay, yet in religious meditations there is some sometimes mixture of vanity and superstitions. Okay, बेले बेले बहुत सारा vanity आउची, गर्व अनुभव करूचे बेले बेले, एवं बहुत सारा superstitions मध्य रहउची. Okay, amongst us. Okay, you shall read in some of the friars' books of mortification that a man should think with himself what the pain is if he have but his fingers and pressed or touched, and thereby imagine what the pains of death are when the whole body is corrupted and dissolved, when many times death passeth with less pain than the torture of the limb, for the most vital parts are not the quickest of sense. Okay, se kono कहउछन्ती आमे, if you have read any of the books of mortification कहले कोन, giving pain to yourself. Okay, self mortification आमे जोटा कहउछि कि माने in your real life you might have watched this kind of scenery, or at least in the movies you definitely might have watched, जोथरे कि माने निजे माने हथियार धरे कि निजकू माने wounded करिवाटा. Okay, निजको आघात करिवाटा, जानी जानी निजको आघात करिवाटा, so as to get the salvation in life, so as to meet the God. है ना, किछि माने लोक कहंदी ना कि if you want to meet God, walk barefoot to the God. भगवान को पाखकू खाली पादरे चली चली जाओ. Okay, खाली पादरे चली चली जीवा द्वारा कोन होची, it is harmful to us. We have to bear the pain. Okay, we have to bear the pain. Then many more, I gave one example, but many more examples are there. Okay, in what the Jews used to do, the Jews used to wound themselves. Okay, when I say knife neve, then other weapons they would carry, and they would wound themselves, nijo body ru blood bahar karibe, and they believe that through this they will be taken near the God. Okay, so ए सब तरी हम को कोन माने से माने निजकू पेन काहे के दोचंती. Okay, they believe that you will feel what that death, what the pain of death will be like, है ना. माने मृत्यु समय जो डेथ हबो से समय पेन टा अनुभव करबा पई से माने एमती करंती बोली विश्वास करा जाय but what he is further telling but when death comes okay he is telling that when death comes the vital parts are not the quickest of sense okay vital parts যেটা হচ্ছে vital parts such as our lungs heart brain okay they will not feel any kind of pain you will die and everything is off okay ଆମେ pain feel କରିବା କେତେବେଳେ କରିବା ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କାଟି ଦଉଛେ suppose you cut your hand then you will feel the pain okay you may die after some time but your heart and mind will feel nothing that's what Francis Bacon is trying to say okay then he is again telling that uh, I'm being very quick because we do not have time but once I will ask you all to read it read these essays kind of pratyek essay da kebol matra one page kimba two page ro so you can read it and you can understand it on your own in in case you don't understand then I'm there to explain it to you but once you all of you have to read it in order to understand this okay then this particular essay is full of Latinism okay बहुत सारा लैटिन टर्म्स से एवं लैटिन फ्रेजेस लैटिन टॉक्स से एथिरे यूज करूछंती कोन से कहउछंती and by him that spake only as a philosopher and natural man it was well said pompa mortis magis terret quam mors ispar okay I don't know whether I pronounced it in a nice way or not but this is Latin okay and the meaning of it is that one of the philosopher who is a very natural man gave the statement and it was the best statement that's what he Bacon is trying to say and by the Latin the Latin phrase that he has used here and the meaning of it in English would be the thought of death is more terrible than the death itself মানে মৃত্যুକୁ যদি ଆମେ ଯେତେ ବେଶୀ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବା we will feel that more pain that's what he is telling okay then groans and convulsions and a discolored face the friends weeping and the blacks and the obscures and like so death terrible okay death is not terrible at all death is not fearful at all but what makes the death very terrible groans ଯେତେବେଳେ ଜଣଙ୍କର ମୃତ୍ୟୁ ହେଇଛି ସେମାନେ ଚିତ୍କାର କରିବା ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି କାନ୍ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ସମସ୍ତେ and we cannot condemn that okay because one of our near and dear one has died so we anyhow you will cry okay automatically you have to cry okay groans convulsions and discolored face here means the pale face okay ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କର ମୁହଁ ଶୁଖି ଯାଇଥିବ okay then friends weeping friends your relatives will be weeping all of them would be crying and the blacks here means the attire that you wear when you are mourning okay attire means kona eta ode European culture and in European culture if anyone is dead then everybody all of his or her relatives will wear black okay and that is a sign of mourning okay then obsequies means the funeral or the last rite ei sabu ko dekhikri हमको death माने को बेसी डर लागि बसबो okay suppose before the discussion of death nobody were thinking about death ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଡେଥ୍ କୁ ଡିସ୍କସ୍ କରୁଛେ ତାପରେ ଯାଇ ସମସ୍ତେ ଡେଥ୍ ର କଥା ଚିନ୍ତା କରୁଛେ କିନ୍ତୁ ତାର ପୂର୍ବରୁ କେହି ବି ଡେଥ୍ ର କଥା ବିଲକୁଲ ଚିନ୍ତା ହିଁ କରୁନଥିଲେ ଓକେ ସୋ ସେ ସମୟରେ ଆମକୁ ଡେଥ୍ ର କଥା କିଛି ମାନେ ଡର ବି ଲାଗୁନଥିଲା କିନ୍ତୁ ଏବେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ଡେଥ୍ ର କଥା କହି ସାରିଛି already when we are discussing death then all of you might be thinking in your mind that one day yes we have to die या फिर तुमको किसी गुडे मने पड़ जाइथिबो the death of some near and dear ones at that time you will start to afraid of to be afraid of death okay that's what that's how it has been concept okay it is worthy of worthy the observing that there is no passion in the mind of man so weak but it mates and masters the fear of death and therefore death is no such terrible enemy when a man has so many attendants about him that can win combat of him revenge triumphs over death love slights it honor aspires to it grief flies to it fear preoccupieth it Nay, we read, after Otho, the emperor had slain himself. Pity provoked many to die out of mere compassion to their sovereign and at a truest sort of followers. Okay, say what is he trying to say? That death is not actually our enemy. That's what he's trying to say. Okay, if one is very um, free of everything, then he is not afraid of death. Okay, kind of revenge. But what leads us to fear of death, and what he's talking about different types of death. ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର death ର କଥା କହୁଛନ୍ତି, ଯେମିତି revenge. Through revenge you will kill someone or someone else will kill you. That is a type of death. Okay, then love slights it. Suppose you failed in your love life, then either you will kill yourself or you will kill the person you loved once. Okay, then honor aspires to it. Honor means respect, your self-respect. Suppose you felt somewhere that you are not being respected, then you will kill yourself. Then grief, out of a lot of grief, if someone is suffering from a lot, then that person will die or will kill himself. Okay, we very often, if you will open the newspaper in the morning time, you will find a lot of this kind of news in your newspaper. Okay, then fear preoccupied it. Suppose you have done something wrong and you are now afraid of facing the people, then what will you do? If it preoccupied death, then you will definitely kill yourself because you are not ready to meet people. Okay, that's what he is giving the example of Otho. Otho is a Roman emperor who killed himself. Okay, who while sleeping he had kept a small knife with him under his pillow, and in the night time he stabbed on his chest himself and he died. Okay, so a lot of examples that he is giving. Then a man would die though he were neither valiant nor miserable, only open a weariness to do the same thing so often over and over. Okay, से कौन पुणी कहते खाली गोटे भेलिएंट माने जने जदि गोटे मिजरेबल लाइफ बंचुची से ही मृत्यु को एक्सेप्ट करूची, नॉट लाइक दिस इवन some other people die. Like if someone is doing the same thing every day, then he or she also kills himself. Like all of you might also be very worried about doing the same thing every day. Okay, in that case you will also feel like what am I doing and all. Okay, so it's already time, so let's conclude it. Let me conclude ki at the end last line ta se kono कहउचंती, देखो last line को से कहउचंती that is giving this one is very important. Nunc dimittis, eta tike mone rakhithibo. This is very often asked in the examination. In the next class I will be explaining this. Today we do not have time. Again we will get calls that for the next class. Okay, so death had this also, that it opened the gate to good fame and extinguishes envy. All of you can agree with this, that after that we start to love the person who is dead. Okay, जने मरीगला परे आमे ताकू बहुत भल पाइबा स्टार्ट कर दउछि. When he is or she is alive, we don't love them, we don't even care for that particular person, but after his death we would start to love him, we would start to talk good about him. And finally the Latin term meaning the same thing, until and unless one is dead, we cannot we cannot realize the importance and the goodness in that particular person. Okay, so here the nunc dimittis and the last Latin phrase that you have to take care about. And in the next class I'm declaring it, and that in the next class we'll be discussing about the socio-political background and the literature of the Puritan era. That's what we will be discussing. I hope it is clear to all today, and since the time was not enough today, we could not discuss in a better way, but still I will ask you to read the essays of Francis Bacon once. In your free time you can read it and you will enjoy reading Francis Bacon's essays. Okay, because it is all related to life. And after having read the essays, we'll be discussing more. This is not the end of this session. In the further classes also, on the upcoming classes also, we will have the discussion. Whenever we are getting time, we will come back to any of the essays of Francis Bacon, because I love explaining the essays of Francis Bacon. Also, you'll love listening to the essays of Francis Bacon when we have enough time. So let's stop here today, and in the next class we'll meet with the topic that I told you just now. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you all for
Thank you,
joining.
sir.
Thank you all.